welcome to another podcast from Candlebark Creatives. My name is Louise and I have set up this podcast to share positive, encouraging and hopeful aspects of life. Our guest today is Paul Thompson, whom I've known for quite a few years, and it's great to be able to chat with you today and find out what you do and what makes you tick. So welcome, Paul.
Thanks. Cheers, Louise.
Paul is a Norfolk-based singer-songwriter who performs locally, nationally and internationally. Paul gained a Guinness World Record for the longest journey by milk float after touring from Norfolk to the Edinburgh Fringe in his electric milk float Bluebell that he used as an outdoor music stage. It's fantastic, it was. So, without further ado, let's get into it and find out more about Paul. So, I understand you write and perform your own songs, Paul. Can you tell us a little bit about the sort of songs you sing and where you perform?
Yep, sure. So I'm really an acoustic singer-songwriter, so I do play various instruments, but really sort of guitar's my first love. And so, yeah, really they're sort of, acoustic songs, I guess you'd call them. And yeah, I mean, I perform professionally, sort of all over the place really. I play locally around here, but then sometimes I'll do a national tour if I've got an album or something coming out, and sometimes I go abroad as well, so I've kind of been all over really.
Wow, that's amazing. So how long have you been composing and singing?
I suppose probably since I was about 2.
Oh, brilliant. I like it.
Yeah, because I suppose my first sort of musical memories were when my mum was doing the washing and I had a little xylophone and sort of playing this xylophone while my mum was doing the washing and sort of making things up. So,
was it the coloured bars?
Yeah.
Yes, we used to have one of those.
Yeah. So, I suppose I've just always loved, creating, but I didn't really learn to play the guitar till quite later in life, so I was really about 18 before I started playing guitar and writing songs, so yeah, quite late really. I mean, I sort of played drums and stuff when I was younger, but I never really guessed that I'd end up doing what I'm doing, when I was younger.
So what inspired you to do the guitar at that point then?
I think that was just the friends that I had at the time. Yeah, sort of they, sort of student days or whatever, and they've got a guitar, and so I started playing. And
yes, it's either teenage years or it's students, isn't it?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yes, I've got one tucked at home somewhere.
Oh.
So, who inspired you to get into this creativity, apart from your mother doing the washing?
I don't know. It's a good question, really. I think I've just always created, I've always written stories and things, and before I really got into the music, I did a degree in creative writing, so I think it sort of, with the songwriting, it really came from that. I always wrote poetry and short stories and stuff, and then when I started playing the guitar, I started just setting poems to the guitar, and then, after a while that turned into songs, but I've just always loved sort of literature as well as music. So. And
was that through your school years mainly?
Yeah. Did
you do them at home as well as at school?
Yeah, sort of, again from a young age, I can remember as a kid sort of spending summers sitting under a tree, like writing a little book for my mum and dad and things.
Wonderful.
And it's just something that I've always done. It's just sort of in me just to be creative,
Where do you find inspiration for all your songs?
So I guess nature is probably my biggest inspiration. Obviously live in natural surroundings,
yes,
got trees all around, and
it's beautiful here.
It is, yeah. So I think for me, like, I kind of think of myself almost more like almost like a romantic poet, in the sense of like Wordsworth and Coleridge, and it's, for me, it's like music's a spiritual thing, that's kind of how I connect with, what I believe in, and kind of get into a deeper part of myself, and it's, you know, the connection with nature and just sort of how I see the world and kind of how I feel that the world has gone wrong. And to me, it's like being connected with nature is like the balance that I seek, you know, and sort of, so, you know, there's a lot of nature imagery, I suppose, in the songs that I write. But and there's, I think it's just kind of like a longing to get back to something simple in life, you know, that's just sort of more meaningful and has connection and purpose in life than, you know, sort of materialism and sort of the modern world kind of thing.
Music really is a heartfelt thing and just life. I mean, that's what I find when I'm doing my music.
Yeah,
it's just so definitely part of us, isn't it?
Oh, totally. I mean, there's a brilliant book called, I think it's called This Is Your Brain on Music, and it's all about kind of how the most ancient part of our brain reacts to music, and that kind of reacts more than anything, you know, people that have got dementia and things. Music is the one thing very often that they can still really connect with, and there's just something about it that just goes deep. You know, everyone loves music. There isn't anybody who doesn't like music. You know, I mean, obviously we've all got different tastes and things, but I mean,
but that's what's so inspirational about music. It's so many different facets you can find.
Oh, totally.
But I'm really inspired by your composition and stuff like that. So I know you produce your own CDs, and I believe you're just about to launch one soon. So I think we're going to have a little look at that in a minute, and you can tell us all about it. So.
Yeah, that would be great, definitely. Yeah, any excuse to show you my gadgets. Basically, I kind of record all of my own stuff, or most of it, really apart from the drums. I kind of do most of it myself. So that's all really been recorded in here.
Wow.
So sort of this space here is kind of where I do all my mixing and stuff, and also kind of where all the microphones and everything plug in. So I've got, at the moment, that's kind of where I do vocals and record guitar over there, and there's a point over in the corner where you plug the mics into.
That's connected to this. Oh, right.
Yeah, and then that's got a wire coming around the back which comes in here. So it's sort of, it's taken me a while kind of to get the whole setup and kind of, you know, get things how I want it all to work. But I mean, I could explain a bit, you know, about how it all does work.
That would be so
like.
good.
So,
have you taken a long time to set this up, and have you found? Go on.
I mean, I suppose really it's kind of 10 years of just sort of starting from scratch, not knowing really anything about recording, and sort of having a little multi-tracker, you know, and then sort of bit by bit, you know, it took me a long while to get my head around using a computer with recording. Sort of,
oh, I know the feeling.
The software, you know, obviously it's a bit of a learning curve. But,
which software do you use?
So I'm using Cubase. So I've got a project loaded up here to show you.
Oh, nice.
This is actually the title track of my new album, which is called Lone Star. So I'll play you just a little intro to
That'd be lovely.
so you can just hear it, and then I could explain a bit what's going on as well. So here we go.
Last lighted sea fades away. The night is so long. Oh, how I long only to see you again, warming my heart. I know I've done wrong. I've done time looking for love
fantastic. That was really good. Can you share your adventures with us just a little bit? You know,
Yeah.
sort of,
So
or a lot if you like.
Yeah. I suppose my best adventure was in my milk float Bluebell.
Yes.
Yeah. Travelling up to the Edinburgh Festival. So
Ooh, that must have been such fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to explain, you know, for the viewers at home, Bluebell's electric milk float that I got in 2015, and I used as an outdoor music stage for about 5 years. And the year that I got it, I went up to the Edinburgh Festival with it. So I made it, sort of had it converted so that I could use it as an outdoor music stage. So it had solar panels that I could run my music gear off, and I had like a catering hatch fitted to it and had the back enclosed so that when I was playing live I could put the hatch up and stand beneath it and play with my PA and stuff.
Fantastic.
But I also slept in it as well, so sort of I was away on tour for 3 months going up to Edinburgh because Bluebell only did 15 miles an hour and got stuck on all the hills.
Oh, I bet that was fun
So,
following that one. Would you like to tell us about the songwriting course you did at Bath University, Paul?
Yeah, sure, yeah. So it was a master's degree in songwriting, and it kind of came about by chance really because I'd done a tour with Bluebell, my milk float, down to Land's End in Cornwall. I was raising money for cancer research.
Oh,
and then,
brilliant, yeah.
So anyway, I'd gone up to this lovely campsite in Wookey Hole up on the Mendip Hills, and I thought, oh, it's so nice here, I'll just have a little holiday before I go home. So while I was there, I found out about this master's degree in songwriting at Bath Spa University, so I applied for it and got onto the course.
Wow.
And consequently, I never came home. I just stayed there and did the masters. So yeah, I ended up staying on this campsite. I bought a little motorhome to live in for the
I was
year.
going to say, I was going to ask you about that. That was a different one.
Yeah, so I kept the milk float as well, but I wasn't living in that. I got this motorhome to live in, and actually I turned that into like a little studio. I contacted Sound on Sound magazine, and I told them that I was doing this master's degree and would they be interested in doing a studio makeover on it, because every month they do this studio SOS for a reader, and they turn one of their readers, you know, sort of spaces into a studio.
Yeah.
So they did my motorhome, and I drove it over to Malvern where the editor Paul White lived, and he'd got his workshop there and everything. And we spent a day kind of doing up my motorhome and making it into a little studio.
Yeah.
And
it was beautiful, wasn't it?
Yeah. So so I had a lovely year, sort of staying on the campsite, writing songs, looking out over the Mendip Hills, and you could see Glastonbury Tor in the distance, and going into Bath a couple of times a week for, you know, sort of workshops and stuff with the MA. And yeah, it was a great course. I mean, they had some really good tutors, like people like Julianne Regan, who was the singer with All About Eve. I don't know if you remember from like a few years ago, and yeah, sort of. But just also just being with other songwriters on the course who were just there to focus on their songwriting, you know, it was kind of just, you know, inspiring, just being around, you know, kind of other like-minded people.
And making useful contacts like your drummer.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. And, you know, sort of workshopping songs, and, you know, obviously you go into a lot of depth about kind of, you know, how songs are constructed, and you know, sort of becoming more aware about songs, which I think in some ways can not be a good thing as well. Like, it's good to know, but I think as well, it's like when you first start writing songs, it's like they pour out of you, and it's a joyful thing of not even worrying about kind of whether it's any good or not. You're just doing it, and then but I find as you get a bit older, or this is what I've found for me personally, is it does get a bit harder to write songs, and you've kind of got to dig deeper, and you still want to get into that natural state of feeling inspired and kind of letting things flow, without kind of being overly critical, which I'm not, but at the same time with doing the MA you kind of went into things in so much depth that you could start doubting things, you know, that normally
It's a
you
bit
wouldn't
more
worry
constricting,
about.
isn't it?
Yeah. So I think in some ways it was a double-edged thing. You know, I did learn a lot, but I think maybe it took a little bit of the joy out of it as well. So, you know, I've still got mixed feelings about it. You know, it's kind of,
Because I found that from the opposite way round, because I was classically trained, and so that constricted me from being creative.
Yeah.
But now I've decided, as I'm getting older, I might as well try.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
And let go of all the rules that I've learned.
Yeah.
And that's what it is, isn't it? You learn certain rules. That,
I mean, I suppose you get technically really proficient, don't you, having that training? But like you say, at the same time, it's a bit sort of, it's harder then to sort of improvise, I suppose, because you're so used to kind of reading the dots.
You feel as though you're a bit in a straitjacket, really, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you just need to be set free now.
Yeah, that's
the Lone Star will set you free.
Oh, no. Well, I think over time, that's what's happened, is it's kind of, I think I got a bit obsessed with the details at the time, but then as time goes on, I've gone back more to my original process of not worrying so much about it.
And that's good.
Hopefully bringing some of that knowledge of the craft of it into it, because I find, you know, there's sort of different stages with the songwriting anyway, where you sort of maybe initially you're just kind of really in the moment for it with it and just going for it, and then you get to the editing process where you're thinking, oh, should I use this word instead of that or whatever, and but then I think as long as you capture like the emotion, that's the important thing, and
Absolutely
then
right.
you know, you can craft it a bit afterwards, and hopefully that's where the knowledge from the MA comes in as well.
Fantastic.
So,
what advice would you give someone wanting to write their own songs and record them?
In terms of writing, I think what I was saying about when I first started, of just that joy of just thinking, oh, I've discovered something that I never thought I could even do, you know, and I would say just go for it, you know, don't worry about if it's any good or not, just do it, you know, and just be creative and follow what's in your heart, and you know, just be true to yourself, I think, and then, you know, sort of the craft of it and whatever, that comes over time, you know, and I think also just other musicians are really important as well, you know, and kind of, or people that are going to be helpful. You don't want, it's kind of getting that balance of, you know, some people would just praise you, which isn't necessarily good. You want kind of criticism that's constructive, and you know, there's a lot of egos in music as well, and jealousy, and sort of just kind of sussing out, you know, what's a healthy kind of, you know, person to give you feedback on your songs. But I think getting good feedback and also working with good musicians who are kind of challenging you is going to make you grow, because I think what you don't want to do is just get stuck in doing the same things, and so I think challenging yourself all the time is
and
a
I
really
think you've
good
shown
thing to
that,
do.
haven't you, in the way you've been doing it.
I mean, I guess so. I mean, the thing is, I try and keep moving forwards, you know, and doing different things, and that's to me, that's why I keep creating, because otherwise I think I'd just get bored and give up, you know. So
absolutely.
I think people who get writer's block, I think it's just because they've stopped experimenting, you know, and
that's
it's
a very
just
good point, actually.
I think just trying to be open, you know, about what you're doing. But I think for me, and then I suppose that leads into the recording side of things, but technology is great for the creative process as well, because it's a whole different layer of creativity.
Oh, I love technology.
It is brilliant. It's amazing what you can do now.
Isn't
that
it
you know, sort of 30 years ago or whatever, you'd have had to gone to a professional studio and paid a fortune, and you know, you can do it all yourself now. So it's, I mean, it's amazing.
Yes, it is actually.
But again, I think with the recording side of it, you know, it does take time to learn, but I think, again, just dive in, you know, sort of be creative and enjoy the process. I think that's the important thing, you know, is just don't try not to get just overwhelmed with the technology, because that will, over time, you'll learn that, you know, and I think it's just sort of learn a bit at a time and enjoy it.
Little bits at a time.
Definitely.
Little steps.
Yeah,
that's so true. Well, that's brilliant.
So this is Dotty, my latest camper van, come mobile music stage.
Yes, look at all this.
But I've obviously given her a bit of a star makeover because of my album being called Lone Star.
Yes.
So solar panel fitted. So I've got some 12-volt lighting.
Yeah. Oh, I say.
So I've got them. I'm probably going to do some like little indoor gigs inside here as well,
Yes.
with just people sitting inside while I play, kind of thing.
Oh,
Just with my
fantastic.
guitar and read some story.
So, how can people find out information about you and your upcoming events then?
Yeah,
What's
so,
the best way?
The best way really is to go to my website, because all the links are on there, which is
Yes.
paulsmusic.co.uk.
Brilliant.
And you know, sort of Facebook link and stuff. I've always got my events on there, but
Yes.
I've got a gigs calendar with all the places that I'm playing, and all my music's on there, links to my books and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you have an
it's just-
Instagram? Or-
I've got Instagram. I
Yeah.
don't use it. I use Facebook the most. I mean,
Yes.
I've got Instagram and Twitter as well, so
Yes.
people can connect with me on there.
Yes.
So all, you know, yeah, sort of any of those is fine, really.
Brilliant.
So
Oh, that's
yeah.
lovely. Okay, well, thank you very much, Paul, for all those insights to all things musical.
Oh, well, thanks for coming along. It's been lovely. Cheers.
Oh, so that's it for this one. Signing out from Paul, singer-songwriter, and Candlebark Creatives. Bye.
Bye. Okay, so this is the title track for my album, and it's called Lone Star.
Purple and grey, winter's day, last light at sea fades away. The night is so long, oh how I long, only to see you again, warming my heart. I know I've done wrong, I've done time, looking for love, for what's mine. But a lone star always shines bright, waiting for you in the night, lighting the way back home, path to the sea, guiding me. Cliffs are too steep, I cry to the sky, it won't hear me, I'm in too deep. Silver and gold for the cold, first light at sea in me. The night was so long, oh how I long, only to see you again, warming my heart. I know I've done wrong, but in time, this love I see will be mine. And a lone star always shines bright, waiting for you in the night, lighting the way, the way the wind, the wind, lighting the way, the way.